Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Hill and Valley podcast. Today, I am here with Tatiana. We are going to be talking everything internships-wise.
Yes. I feel like this is definitely something that there's like no clear answers to anything about internships.
Yeah, definitely.
It's always different. Everyone has their own opinions. So we're just going to talk a little bit about internships, specifically because Brian was our intern at one point.
Once upon a time.
Once upon a time, Brian was just our lowly intern, and now he is our amazing employee.
Found me off the street.
Yes, he just approached us with some cookies, and we said, okay. There was no cookies.
I should have done that. That sounds better.
That's one way to stand out.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, so I think it's good to start with like why the heck are internships important from an intern perspective, if you can think back to when you were interning, and I can as well,
Yeah.
although it was much longer ago.
Yeah.
And then also from a business perspective, but like as an intern, like when you were in college, like what were you thinking? Like what was the thoughts about getting an internship?
So when I did my years at MCC, I was a film student. So it was mostly like theory and script writing and all these things. We had video production classes, but it was very like surface level, kind of getting to know the cameras and like basic like rule of thirds and know how to make your scene look good. And
Concepts.
then when I started interning here, I quickly learned that like everything you learn in those classes is just it's the tip of the iceberg. And then when you actually get into doing things the right way, it's not always the way that they put it in the textbooks. It's always like you have to form it to your scenario and form it to what you want, what your director wants, or like what the client wants or anything. And that's not really like shown in a lot of classes, or at least the classes that I took, because I wasn't like a video production person. So I learned way more actually being on set, actually being like working behind the scenes and stuff than I would have ever done in a class like that.
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely pretty standard to think that experience or practice makes perfect. Like experiences are better than, applying your knowledge is much more effective to learn and grow than to just always be studying. But I think that internships are really important for me in my early years, just to confirm like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Or like, this is definitely not what I want to do. I did a lot of graphic design internships, and while I loved my internships, I loved those opportunities, I had a blast doing them, I definitely was like, I don't want to just sit at a computer all day, every day. Like, this lifestyle just isn't exactly what I want. Do I sit at a computer a lot nowadays? Yes. But it's a little different, and I am up and about on set, a couple days a week. Like, it's definitely, I like that balance of, like, I'm on set, I'm moving around, I'm busy, then it's exhausting, and I'm like, oh, I just want to be at my computer.
Yeah.
So I feel like those experiences really help me just learn what do I actually like and what don't I like, and also, like, what kind of environments, you work best in.
For me, actually, interning here, it showed me a whole world of stuff that I was super interested that I didn't even know existed. Like the commercial world, or like, I thought it was like, because when you first go to school, you're like, it's Hollywood or bust. It's Hollywood or nothing.
Yeah.
And there's so many other layers to that than just going straight to making feature films and stuff. And
yes.
And now even like, I loved my movie classes. I loved my film classes, like analyzing that. But now I've kind of stepped back from like, oh, I want to be a film director, I want to direct films, to being like, oh, I just want to make a video that looks good.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at right now. It's kind of switched and opened my eyes to a whole new world that I never really knew existed.
I think that's so valid. Is like, when you go to school, it's like you're all learning, whatever your degree. My degree was in advertising photography. We're all learning how to be a photographer. But there is so many different jobs as a photographer. You could be a stylist, you could be a producer, you could be the shooter, you could be the editor, you could be a retoucher, you could be a talent person. Like you can be an agent, you could be so many different things as a photographer. And now, of course, the world of video and photo is much more fluid. So like all those options aren't really presented to you at first until you start like applying for jobs or like getting that internship experience where you're on a set and there's a creative director, the photographer, the producer, the talent, like the stylists. Like there's so many people on set, and then you're like, oh, I could do something very specific, but no one ever told me this was even an option.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool about internships is you really like learn all the facets of the industry.
And it also depends on what company like you're interning with and what they do. Like even around here, like we do stuff a little differently than other video production places, and that's like I've gotten the chance to work with a couple other places along the way, and they have different ways of thinking and different ways of seeing, and like it's all different, and there's like you said in the beginning, there's no right answer to anything. So it's interesting to see that, and you can't really get that.
And you can be
successful
doing
you can
a multitude
wildly
of things.
Successful doing anything.
Yeah. And I think one of the notes I made here was like one of the important things about interns, and specifically like you're a great example of this, is like you came in as an intern and you didn't have a ton of experience, which is a plus and a minus, right? Because it's a lot more work on our end to teach, though we do love teaching. It's a lot more work on our end, but then also we get to teach you how to do it our way.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is very important, I think, like, especially if you're, like, we weren't necessarily looking to add any employees to our company when we hired you as an intern, but, like, it grew and we had the need for it, and we were able to teach you how to be, like, a Hill and Valley employee, which, again, isn't a right or a wrong way. It's just, like, very beneficial to us to have you as, like, a clean slate and be like, this is how we do things. And then you do them the way we like them done, and it's all very fluid.
Yeah, it's crazy because, like, thinking back, I thought I knew so much more than which is also a me problem because I also do that.
This day.
I also do that where I think I know a lot more than I actually do. But then I was like, oh, I know how to make video. And then I started working here, and I was like, I don't know how to do anything.
I press a button.
I don't know how to do anything. But that's like, that's the drive to learn more and still learning every day. So
for sure.
That's how it goes.
I was going to also talk a little bit about, like, what it entails to have an intern, right? Because, like, as a business perspective, like, obviously, I feel like almost everyone in their professional career should do an internship at some time just to learn, like, you know, different ways. Or, again, like, I did a lot of internships just to see, like, what do I want to do? I did marketing internships. I did communications internships. I was a graphic design intern. I was a photographer intern for like a commercial photographer. I was an intern for a portrait photographer. And now I do like a weird mix of all of those things.
You do everything.
But like, I think it's really important for everyone to try, you know, at least one internship in your professional career. But like from the business perspective, taking on an intern can be like a lot of work. Like I said, like, if they know nothing, you have to teach them, and, like, it's a lot of time scheduling and teaching, and sometimes it can be a really big commitment if it's, you know, we've had interns that come in, like, 5 days a week. We've had some interns that come in every now and then. So it's really depends on the intern and also what they decide they like and what they want to do, because sometimes you have an intern that's like, oh, I just want to sit behind the computer and, like, learn all your editing techniques, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, that's great. That's so much easier for us to schedule because it's more of a shadowing experience. Yeah. But then when people, like, want to be on set, it's like you're on set for a client, but you have an intern that, like, doesn't actually know anything. And you're, like, trying to teach them but also do your job. And then also want to give them the experience, so, like, you hand them a camera, but then you have to, like, redo it because you're like, I actually need this shot for the job. So
yeah, I can see that being an issue.
It can be a lot, but
I think that's also, like, one of the great things about it is especially the way that it happened for me is, like, you guys basically asked, what do you want to do? And then molded that experience to because like I was like I want to make YouTube video, and now here I am 3 years later still making YouTube videos. So
yeah, worked out.
It worked out, but now it's like that's a great way to do it. Whereas like I don't know if it's like some business company, it's like your intern, this is your list of things to do.
Yeah, I've been there.
Them.
I've been there, and I've also like been on set I did an internship with a commercial photographer, and there wasn't as much teaching as we do, and it was more like I was expected to know a certain level of skill and be an assistant for free on set kind of thing.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I agreed to it. I signed up for it. But at a point, it was like I almost felt like I was like wasting my time in a sense because I was learning from observing, but I wasn't getting taught. So from those experiences, we've tried to lend our interns a better experience where we're much more open to like, what are your questions? Like, what do you like to do? What do you want to do more of? We have Kaylee interning today. She's monitoring our audio. She wants to get more into production. She's done a lot of audio work, and it's like, well, we can show you a mixture. Like we can, kind of blend you into the things that we do. So always just like trying to make sure that the intern feels like they're getting the best experience.
But to the flip side of that, it's good to show them also other things that maybe because like I said, I was introduced to a whole world of stuff that I never even knew, where it's like I wouldn't have known that I would like going on set as much because I never really did that. I did mostly editing before I was here, but now I like really like going on set and really like doing all this stuff. So it's also good to like show them, like dip their toe in a little bit, and then see like, oh, did you actually like being on set for that, or was it too stressful and running around and
Is that how you feel? Is it too stressful?
No.
Okay, good. Yeah, I think that we definitely sometimes throw our interns into things where we're just like, oh, you're doing this today. Yeah. Like, obviously, in a very, like, fine, easy, way, but it's kind of like sometimes we just need the extra help, right? Yeah. And we're like, hey, can you just do this? Or, like, do you feel comfortable doing this? And sometimes they say yes, and then we're just like, thank gosh. But it's fun stuff. As an intern, from the intern perspective, when you were applying for internships,
yes,
what did you look for?
So,
also, Brian just cold emailed us.
I was gonna get there.
There was absolutely we never have an application out for interns.
So my cousin does hiring for her company, or some sort of a line that she helps with hiring. And she was like, you know what you should do? Google video production companies in Rochester and email all of them. So I found a list. We sat down. I can vividly remember it. I sat down at my kitchen counter, and she said, Google it. We made a list of 50 places, and I emailed every single one of them, and 2 responded.
No way.
Yep,
2?
Yep.
What was the other one?
Helen Valley and Stephen James Media. We can bleep that out.
Oh, no. We don't know them personally,
okay.
But we know they exist.
Yeah. And then they had like an actual like application thing to send in, and I sent it in, and they were like, "Oh, you're too late."
Oh, so we were the only option. We were really just the only option.
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be. That's funny though, because we really try to answer all of our emails.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're just super busy, or like sometimes people reach out to us and it's like we just don't have the capacity to the time or the energy or the need to take someone on.
Yeah.
But we always try to respond to everyone, even if it's not timely, and be like, hey, we'd love to meet you. We would love to hear about what you're doing. Because I think that if you're going to take the time to email someone, and assuming it's a good email. Okay, We'll talk about that later. But, like, assuming you're, like, a nice person that's reaching out for, like, actual experience, odds are there's something in the future that we can help you with, or that maybe we can say one thing that's beneficial. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, so we'll usually, like, invite people to, like, stop by the studio, or we'll let them know that we'll keep them on file for, like, when we are looking for interns. But that's really funny. It must have just been, like, the perfect alignment of times. And I remember the time that you came, we actually had an intern.
Yeah, who had just left, right?
Yeah, from EMCC.
Yes.
And so we usually do an EMCC intern every year, where they come in just once a week in the morning. And I was super confused about you because I was like, is this a different person than this person? And then there was another Brian emailing us, and I was like, who are these people?
Super confusing.
But it's so funny. That's just funny that it ended up working out.
It's even, back to your point, it's even nice to just get your name out there.
Yes.
If that's really what you want to do, especially because we have cameras and coffee and stuff like that. If we know your name, then you come here and we're that's showing that you want to be a part of it and you have a drive to do that, as well as if you're making. Here's my question to you. Mm-hmm. When I sent you the email, were you the one who read it?
Probably.
Did you look at the videos I sent as my portfolio?
Yeah, you sent us your YouTube channel.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, and it was a bunch of funny YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And I was like, I love this kid.
All right, cool.
And then I think at that time I went to your Instagram and you had April Pools.
Yes.
And April Pools is my favorite.
Year 1 or 2, maybe, I think.
I think I'm a big fan. I'm maybe the number one fan of April Fool's Day. It's a hilarious video. Can we just do a mini insert right here?
Sure, yeah, we could show
it. It's April Fool's. But yeah, so just seeing the creativity, usually when someone has personal projects that they're involving in their portfolio, something that's obviously not a class project, that's when you know that they're passionate or excited about what they're doing. Which also brings me to my next point was one of the things that we always look for in interns is passion and eagerness to learn. I think that a lot of people have to do internships as a check mark for their degree or something. And you can always tell when those kids aren't interested. And we just don't have space or time to entertain someone for a check mark. If you need a check mark, you can get it somewhere else. But for people really passionate or eager or good responders, if you're punctual, if you can respond timely, show up on time, and just be attentive, that's 90% of
that's
it.
The key.
Just show up and just be attentive. That's amazing. I put professional, personality, punctuality, and eagerness to learn. So if you're professional, that first email or application is. We get tons of emails. You're in our email.
Yeah, I've seen.
We get probably at least once a week, maybe twice a week. We get someone trying to apply for a job that we don't have a listing for or
doesn't exist, or
an internship. And sometimes I won't entertain them if it's clear that they didn't put any work into it. I've gotten emails that are hey, do you have any internships? Thanks, Jim. I'm who are you, Jim?
Show me who you are, Jim.
I'm I'm not even going to entertain this. You clearly don't care. We've had people use the wrong name, company name in their email. This is Hill and Valley Creative. You better get our name right in the email. Yeah, if you're going to
email us.
Clearly you're just sending it out. I mean, if you sent it out to 50 people, you got all the emails right.
Oh, yeah.
Or all the names right in the emails. And then, also we've gotten applications where people won't include anything, no previous portfolio, no resume. Honestly, I don't even care about resumes that much. I rarely look at a resume. Sometimes I'll look at a resume to see what college you're at or to see if you have any experience. But I don't really care if you have a degree or where you got your degree. I just want to make sure you live in Rochester. And I can't help you if you don't live in Rochester at this point. But yeah, you'd be so surprised the emails we get or the portfolios we see.
I don't look at the portfolios, but I've seen.
Yeah. It's professionalism is so important.
Yeah, I bet.
Just spell everything right. Grammarly is free.
Use a spell checker, yeah.
Yeah, Grammarly is free. And spell my name right. It's Tatiana.
That's so funny.
But then I was gonna ask you what should interns look for in internships? Like, what should they be looking for when they're applying for stuff?
I think it goes along with like what you really want to do, because definitely some production companies do things differently, or like we do different, like we're not doing as much scripted content or like, you know, film things. We do them from time to time, but we're not like, that's not what we do every day.
Mm-hmm.
So if you extremely do not care about like commercial work or stuff like that, then it's probably not gonna
be
it's
helpful.
not gonna be helpful
It's
for
not gonna
you.
translate.
Yeah. But I think looking at a company's like website, the big thing is a website. If their website looks like garbage, trash heap, don't apply. Don't apply. Don't go there.
It's not going to be a good experience.
And you'd be surprised how many companies still have garbage, trash heap websites.
I will say there is definitely, I hate to say it, but there is a certain like divide in our industry between like the people that have been doing it for like 50 years and the people that have been doing it for, you know, much less. Like we've been in video production for like over 10 years, but we've been doing it since like we were in high school. So it's like, you know, a long time for how young we are. But the older generation does things very differently, and they don't believe in really getting with some of them don't believe in getting with the times. So like if you get an opportunity with a company that is clearly not up to today's standard, you're not really benefiting yourself because you're not learning what today's people are really using. Sometimes people think it's a red flag that we're really young. And sometimes people think it's awesome. People get shocked how young we are sometimes when we show up. Yeah. We are often the youngest people.
We've been on set a few times where they're like, "Oh, you guys are really young."
Yes.
That happened to Joel and I once. We're like, "You guys are like 19." I'm like, "No."
Yeah, I know. I was like, I feel 19, but I wish I was still 19. Yeah, I think that's really important though, because if you're doing it for a really long time, but you're getting with the time, we know a lot of people that are older and have been doing it forever and make amazing work up to today's standards, are always doing new technology, always like working on new stuff. Fishing Crown, great example. He's been doing this forever. He's been doing it forever, and he's amazing. Ben is just great, and his work is amazing, and he understands.
And they have a good website.
They have a great website. And, you know, that's a good example of someone that, like, you go to their website and you're like, oh, these people know what they're doing. Yeah. If you go to a website and it's like...
I can tell you when I was looking through those 50 places, there are some websites that look like they're from 1992.
And the people probably...
are from the 18th century. and it was... I'm like, I don't...
That's not going to benefit you.
No, it's not going to benefit me.
Yeah. You're not going to learn much.
I'm sure
I hate to say
like
it.
their video work might be...
It might be great.
They might be a trusted source, but...
Yeah.
But if they're not going to present themselves well, then I don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
So.
And there's definitely, you know, a lot to say about like what works and what doesn't. But I really think that especially with how fast technology is changing in our industry and how much things are growing and the accessibility of, you know, photo and video equipment is getting easier and easier to access like high quality.
Yeah.
You just can't not keep up. You have to always be learning. It's definitely a field that is constantly evolving, and you need to be ready for that. And if you don't, you're going to get left behind, unfortunately. Let's talk about money.
Money.
Paid or unpaid internships. I don't think we paid you for a little bit.
No, but here's what I'll say. In an ideal world, yes.
Everyone would get paid.
Work should be for money. But we don't live in an ideal world.
Yeah.
So I understood as a small company or a smaller company, super small team of like 4 people.
I think we were only 3 at the time.
Yeah, three people at the time.
I think we just hired Rose.
Yeah.
Right after you started.
Yeah. So I understood that like I need to, and also in the beginning, it's like I'm just mostly learning.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to get to a point where I can actively contribute and be a part of the team in order for them to start paying me, which I understood at the time. Like I can gather that information. But in an ideal world,
in an ideal world, we would be able to pay everyone $1 million.
Yes.
I would pay everyone so well
Billions
if I could.
of dollars.
Yeah, I think that it's definitely hard. I feel like companies that put out internship positions, like if they're recruiting, they should be paying.
Yes. That's actually, I didn't even think of that. If there is a slot that they have specifically put available, like this position is a thing, you should be paying.
Yeah.
But considering that I just kind of slid in and was like, hey,
help.
That makes sense,
Please.
you know?
Yeah, I think that sometimes we do have budget for paid internships. It's very rare. But we also have had people that just need an internship for credit and we can't pay them, which there's so many bad rules around that. I think
I low-key could have gotten credit for it, and I just never did.
Well, you would have to pay your college for the credit.
I didn't need the credit, so
yeah,
I didn't ask.
Why would you pay your college?
It's a lot of paperwork that I do not care about.
Yeah.
So.
But some colleges, you need a co-op or an internship, in which case you need to pay for the credit. So you're paying to work.
That's stupid.
It's so messed up. I hope maybe that's changed since I was in school, but I don't think it has. I hope that changes, but I think if you're reaching out to companies and in search of if you're searching for learning opportunities, you should expect to not get paid unless it's a posted job listing. We do occasionally post things that are like for example, we're shooting this feature film in September. It's an indie film. A lot of people on it are not getting paid or getting paid very little. It's kind of like we're all just doing it because we love it. Very, very low budget film. And we just posted like, hey, if anyone is interested in getting feature film experience, we'll feed you. And there's no obligation. And we'll pay you in food and experience. And some people are okay with that. And you sign up for that if that's what you want. But I do think, so one of the things I want to talk about with this is like, after so long, we were like, okay, we either keep Brian and we start paying him, or, we have to let him go. Because at a certain point, I think it's unfair to the employee or the intern to not be paid for their work. So I think we had you for correct me if I'm wrong. I think you started on Fridays. So you would come in every Friday.
Yes.
For a couple hours.
Because I was working at Wegmans at the time.
Correct. And you would just come in for a couple hours every Friday for like maybe a couple months.
Yeah.
No? Yeah?
Maybe.
I think it was like 2 or 3 months.
But I would also go on shoots as well sometimes.
Yeah. I think it was like 2 months-ish. And then we're like, okay, now we're going to start paying you. And then we would just pay you for whatever time you were there. And then we were like, okay, do you actually want to work for us?
Yeah.
And like we can give you part-time work. And I think that was a progression.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think so.
So I felt like it was a very natural progression, and it made sense because at one point we were like, wow, we kind of need Brian. We should be paying him if we need him.
I need him.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But.
Because I just kind of was like, I'm going to keep going until they tell me to stop. So
you were along for the ride.
Yeah,
but that eagerness is so awesome.
Yeah,
because
I wasn't concerned about the pay because I was also working close to full-time at Wegmans and also going to school.
Yeah.
So
you were taking care of yourself otherwise.
I was taking care of myself. So.
And it worked out in the end, I guess, because now you work for us and not Wegmans.
And now here I am.
We stole Brian from Wegmans.
What I was going to say earlier when you had talked about like when you did graphic design internship and stuff like that, my girlfriend, Jamie Lynn, she did an internship, I like to call it, at this place. It was all remote, but she did graphic design internship, but there was no other graphic design person on the team. So she was just basically doing all of their, she was just doing all of their like in-house graphic design that they would post and like do all these things just I mean, she was getting paid for it.
Okay.
But it was less of like, it felt less of like an internship and more of just straight up like
a job.
A job.
Because, like, she wasn't learning. Like, they weren't
no
one to teach her.
There was no, like, teaching. And she might say, oh, I was learning this, blah, blah, blah. There was no other, like, design specialist there.
That's weird.
It was weird.
That's
it was weird.
weird.
It was really
Yeah.
weird. Yeah.
I have done paid and unpaid internships. When I was a graphic designer, I worked at Hershey Entertainment Resorts as an intern, and I was under the senior designer, and my desk was, like, back-to-back with hers. But my high school paid me to do it.
Oh.
Hershey Entertainment didn't.
Yeah.
But that's like a weird, like, specific case. But I did do 2 free internships with different photographers. I feel like photography is definitely one of those things where you're rarely going to get paid for an internship, just because information's free and it's kind of a privilege to be able to just be on set sometimes. The photographer I worked for in New York City, unpaid, she paid me my lunch and my... I think she paid my train fare.
Nice.
I think she gave me my Metro card. I don't remember.
Nice.
I lived with my dad, so I was making net $0. I made $0 that summer. It was horrible.
Nice.
But it was hot on the New York City subway.
Oh, yeah.
But I will say I was on some really cool sets. The flexibility of it was kind of nice, but it was also so flexible that, like, sometimes I wouldn't know my schedule till the week before.
Yeah.
But that's the nature of the photography, right? Like, she wasn't going to bring me in to shadow her editing or, just to walk in and, like, see her studio. Like, I was only there when she was shooting. So it was a cool experience. And then I interned for free for a portrait photographer, and I would just join them and shadow them on shoots, assist them. And that was a cool experience. And, I kind of still do some things I learned from both of them. So it's interesting. I think that if you're not directly under someone teaching you something, though, it's not an internship.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So
I also think that while interns should be paid most of the time, it's kind of okay to pay them less because they don't have the skills.
Yeah.
That you need for them to actually accomplish a job. Like, for a really long time, we didn't even let you touch client work.
No, not really.
And even to this day, I mean, some client work you do.
Yeah.
But we kind of try to keep you doing what your responsibilities are.
Yeah.
Not that you're an intern anymore.
No.
But, like, when you were an intern, we were, like, pretty...
But that was never my thing. Like, I wasn't striving to do client work.
Yeah, so... We kind of kept you doing the responsibilities that were, like, kind of outlined per our, like, internship agreement. So, but, yeah, I think that hopefully in a better world, everyone would get paid.
In a perfect world.
Yeah. But
we don't live in a perfect world.
Yeah. I guess at the end of the day, are internships worth it?
Yeah. I think they are.
I think they are, too.
I think no matter what... even if it's not a great company, but you still get to go on some cool sets and, like, see... If you get to see the business how it is, that's useful.
That's pretty cool.
That's useful, yeah.
I think if you learn anything, whether you learn, I hate this, I never want to do this again.
That's true. That's also very true.
That's very important.
Yeah.
If you learn, like, you don't want to work for a big company or you don't want to work for a small company or... You learn one tool that you think will help you. I think it's worth it. Like I said, I did a lot of internships. And, one thing that we haven't really talked about is, like, the network.
Yes.
The network that you build is honestly probably more beneficial sometimes than the skills you're learning.
Yeah.
Because there's people from my very first job, which was at Hershey Entertainment and Resorts, graphic design job that I have on LinkedIn, that still to this day root for me in my success and have said, like, congratulations to me on things. And it's just cool to, like, see that they're, some of them have gone on to become much higher up in different companies. Some of them are, like, creative directors that maybe will hire me in the future, and, like, along the way, like, all the jobs I've had, I think that's something that we didn't really touch on is, like, the network of just, like,
that's worth something.
Yeah. If you do one good job for one person and they say it to someone else, like, odds are you're going to get, some good karma.
It's the Valley Cinematic Universe.
It is the cinematic universe.
The web is massive.
Yes. There's so many people that come in and out of our studio that we've just met that, like, then we have a random thing and we're like, oh, we need someone that does that. Oh, that one person came to our studio, like we'll hire them. Or like some people just reach out to us to like be like, hey, do you have any jobs? And we're like, no, but we'll keep you on file. And then like 6 months later, we're like, we need you, you know?
We call upon them.
So I think networking is so important. That's like a whole topic on its own. That's
something I know nothing about.
I think I'm pretty confident that I'm really good at networking because I can't shut up. I can't stop talking. See?
You know a lot of useful people.
I do know a lot of useful
I know a lot of useless people.
But one day
they might become useful.
They're going to come back around. You're still young. You're still young. I like to talk to everyone. I like to be out in the community. Also, I feel like it's the type of person you are, right? Like if you're a good person, like obviously things are going to work out better for you. If you're a shitty person, sorry, no luck. But like I even was just on a call this morning about a job, and this woman's looking for a photographer, videographer, and she's like, oh, I love that you do both. I saw you posted on some page, blah, blah, blah. And then she was like, yeah, I work with this other girl, but she's kind of miserable to be around.
No.
And she was like, just talking to you on the phone, I think she was like, I think we would get along really well.
I love you. That's crazy.
But like, honestly, like people don't want to be around you if you're miserable. Or she was like, yeah, last time I was on set with them, they were like yelling at people and like people are gonna talk. Like I know that person's name now, and I know how they acted on set, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna warn everyone I know about that person. So it's like you really got to be a good person in the first place, and then networking pays off later. But anyway,
all right,
internships, do them. At Hill and Valley. We don't currently have any internship opportunities. But we are working on a feature-length film, The Drumlins, in September, from September 1st to September 22nd. I don't know what the end date is. The first 3 weeks of September, we are looking for unpaid interns, PAs, people that are interested in just working on set. We will feed you. I have a rolling list of people. If you've already reached out to us, I'll be sending out a survey. We'll get some information from you. We'll let you know where to be when. It'll be a really cool atmosphere. It's an interesting sci-fi horror film. Come hang out with us. Otherwise, send us your resume and we'll put it in this little folder we have. And then maybe we'll hit you up later when we need you.
True.
Cool.
All right. You want to do the outro or you want me to do the outro?
I've never done the outro.
Whoa.
Should I
be your first
Should
day.
I do the outro?
You can do the outro.
I can do the outro. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. You know what to do. Do the likes and the subscribes and the shares. We are available on YouTube. Is that it?
Yes, that's it.
Our podcast is available on YouTube. Please feel free to follow us at HLLVLLY on social media platforms. Check out our work on hillandvalley.com. It's HLLVLLY.com. What else do you say?
Like, subscribe.
Thank you. Thanks, YouTube.
Talk about your internship.
Yeah, I want to know all the good and bad stories about your internships. Right. Oh, we should put that as a podcast clip on our Instagram.
Oh, true.
Comment your worst internship stories and your best.
Your internship nightmare stories.
And your best ones.
Yeah.
I want to hear the good and the bad. But thanks, guys. See you next time.